Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the Covenant percentage popularity for each of the classes and specs in the game. Now, before I get into the video, all of this data is from Wowhead. I don't want to take any credit for gathering the data myself. All I'm doing is going to be analysing it. So I've copied all the data from Wowhead into a Excel sheet or a Google sheet just to have a look and play around with some percentages. We'll get into the fun stats in a second, but what has this sheet told me? TLDR. There are some major Covenant imbalances between specs. Now, there are some classes, one or two classes, that seem to have some good variation between the different specs and Covenants. There are some which do not. Let's look at Druid, for example. A Feral Druid, 86% of Feral Druids. Now, to quote what Wowhead said, pretty much they won't get every max level person. They won't, because it's just impossible. And the data may be a little bit skewed in that if I am a resto main but I log off in Boomy spec because I've just been doing world quests, it might skew the data a little bit. So we'll take all the data with a pinch of salt, but we still have enough data here to look at the averages and things like that. If you look at Feral, Balance, Resto, and Guardian, right, all the Druid specs, 86.4%, 91.1%, 72.8%, 90.3%, all playing Night Fae. This means that, like, on average, like, quick maths, 80% of Druids are Night Fae, at least. That is insane, and that's just not balanced, not fun, not fair at all. And looking at what Blizzard said when this was originally announced, is that it's going to be a meaningful, impactful decision that changes how you play your character. Well, ultimately, it's not. It's become a new ability that we didn't get. In most expansions, we get a nice new shiny ability, or Legion, we got an artifact weapon which had a nice shiny new ability on it and some points to buff the class. We get something. This expansion, they went differently and they went, haha, you get to pick what your new ability is. Well, that's great, except they didn't really give us much of a choice. So let's go through some of the stats and some of the ones that really stood out to me and really surprised me, actually. So, mages. Frost, a lot of Venthyr. That surprised me. I didn't realise Venthyr was actually very good for Frost. Arcane and Fire. I mean, Fire, 87.6% again. Just Venthyr, Kyrian, Necro, just not viable for Fire at all. Arcane, 71%, still fairly imbalanced, but hey. Shadow surprised me, actually. Now, I've do play a little bit of Priest, and I have spoken to a few Priests. Shadow can use all four Covenants, as far as I'm aware, with Kyrian probably being the weakest out of the four, and that represented in the stats. Venthyr is very good, and also the main PvP one, so any Shadow Priests that play PvP, very surprised that if they aren't Venthyr. Necro, oddly higher than I thought it would be, but there's nothing above 50%. And I think that's a good marker, that's a good indicator. Yes, you've got the strongest one, yes, you've maybe got the second strongest one, or the one that's better at different content, but they're all around about playable. You haven't got any of this nonsense where Necro is literally 2% of fire mages in the game currently make up for Necro. That's awful. That's so imbalanced. And for the people who have come into this and gone, oh yeah, but I like Necro, I like the aesthetics, I think this proves a lot. And I might be wrong here, I may be making a little bit of a leap here, but a lot of people, you go into the Discords, they go, I want to play Necro, is it viable on X spec? And you'll get some people going, well, if you're not doing top 100 raiding or pushing the highest keys or pushing for rank 1s in PvP, it doesn't matter what Covenant you go. And most of the time they're probably right. And the advice is normally pick whichever one looks coolest, or the one you like the story of, or whatever. I think this proves, Blizz, that's not happening. Necro is a really cool story. It has a cool aesthetic. Maybe doesn't suit the whole mage feel, but for 2% of the game to go, I'm going to be a Necrolord. It's not great. Let's go down and look at some of the other specs then. So, Havoc was one that quite surprised me. Again, didn't realize Venthyr was so strong on Havoc. I knew it was good at one point, but just to alert you, all this data is taken from after patch 9.0.5, so there have been some adjustments. Ironically, Necro got buffed. I'm sure you can see by these percentages how impactful them buffs were. There was actually quite a decent balance on Havoc, 29% for Night Fae, 28.4% for Kyrian, and 40% for Venthyr. Again, no Necros, really. So let's go down to the overall stats, because this is what's really, really interested me. I added up all of the stats for each of the Covenants and divided them by 36. There's 36 specs currently in the game. And that stat for Night Fae came out to 34.72%. That means 34.72% of the game currently is Night Fae. You wonder why you find all your Night Fae groups in Miss. 22.17% is Venthyr, 25.83% is Kyrian, and 17.3% is Necro. Now, while 5% difference between Necro and Venthyr, not huge. A 3% difference between Venthyr and Kyrian, not huge. A 10% difference between first and second, pretty damn big. Almost, in fact, over double between top and last. That's insane. And I think this really shows how imbalanced the Covenants really are and how Blizzard really need to consider where they go from here. So we're going to look at some of the highest offenders for each of the Covenants. So Boomy has the highest Night Fae representation, with 91.1% of Boomies being Night Fae. Enhancement for Venthyr, 77.8% of enhancement Chamois are Venthyr. It's not surprising, but actually not an overwhelmingly high statistic, which I'm actually okay with this. I'm okay with there being a main Covenant as long as the rest of them are playable. Holy Pally, 85.2% are Kyrian. Well, again, this is just one of those things that's a little bit crazy to me. Just too high a number. And Unholy DKs for Necrolord. Now, Necrolord, I could count almost on 3 fingers the amount of people I see play Necrolord. Unholy DK, Elemental Chamois, Resto Chamois. Say it. A little bit. Demonology Warlock, maybe Holy Priest. There's not many. There's not many at all. So what can we learn from this? So there's a couple of things. First of all, if you're ever looking for a Necrolord for your group, find the Unholy DK. Firstly, brilliant. Looking at this data, I think we can see that there is a huge imbalance between the Covenants still, even after the changes. The real question I have to ask, do we care? Now, I'm interested to know your guys' answers to this as well. Me personally, I really do. I like some of the off-meta abilities, and they are completely wasted. Blizzard have done 4 times the amount of work to give you 1 times the amount of reward, and that seems like backwards development for me. They've really fleshed out and developed and created these 4 Covenants and then gone, you can have 1 of them. And I don't really know what the answer is, to be truthful with you. I think that we could easily say, give us 2 Covenants. And maybe that's something they'll look at in the future. There's definitely the possibility. 9.1, we're already seeing that there's going to be some crossover in the Covenant stories. Maybe we could get some crossover that allows, Necrolord and Venthyr and Night Fae Kyrian sort of thing, where you can use each other's soulbinds. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe later on the expansion we're going to have all of the buttons. I doubt it, but maybe. But I think at the moment, the way it is, you've told us we had a meaningful, impactful choice, and then you've basically allowed us not to have a choice. Ultimately, I know there are some people that are going to say, yeah, but you can just play what you want. It feels really bad when you are a Night Fae enhancement Chamois. Trust me, this is an experience I've had. Or a Venthyr Boomy. You can go back on my videos and you can see me being Venthyr. Venthyr Guardian, by the way, Venthyr Guardian Druid, actually playable. Very, very good. It pairs perfectly with Incarn and plays very, very well in Mythic Plus. However, it's got a 5.6% representation. It's never going to get invited to a group. If I whisper someone as a Guardian Druid and go, I'm Venthyr, invite me for your Halls run, they're going to look at me and go, yeah, but you're playing the class wrong. Not, oh, cool, you're playing something different. So, a little bit of a rant, and I just wanted to highlight this. All of this data is available on Wowhead. I will put the Wowhead link in the comments below. So if you guys are interested in having a look, please do. If you're interested in any of the stats or want to talk to me about it, please give me a comment down below. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I think this is very, very alarming for what we have currently. I mean, yeah, the Druid stats have really thrown me because like 85% of the Druid player base are one Covenant. And that just doesn't seem fun to me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed. There'll be more videos coming soon. Catch you later. Goodbye.